think about the assignment length. Most of the time, the problem for students is that they want to write about something that's far too broad. So again, you need to add those contexts. The one video talked about that gorillas and deforestation, and so I would take you back to that one to look at how they added a specific species, a specific geographical location, and a specific time to narrow that into something that they could write about. Do choose topics that can be argued with scientific and expert information. Scientific is more concrete based facts and things like that. Expert information, I'm using that to distinguish from scientific because it may be more abstract, right? It's not like, you can run a scientific experiment, but maybe it's more humanities based or something like that. Choose topics that are still relevant or significant, and that's going to be relative or significant to your audience. And then choose topics that you have enough sources to be able to argue this, and it's credible sources. And so we're going to be using the CRAP test, and that's the video I think that I've assigned for Friday. So you can watch it early. This is the actual handout of those, the 5 criteria for evaluating sources. So make sure that you can do that. I remember I had a student once who had an incredibly fantastic topic that was based on something that was happening in his community. And he would go to city council meetings for several years and really hold their feet to the fire about this thing. So when it came time to wanting to write about it, he needed to get documents from the city to help support his thesis, but he had ticked off them so much that they kept delaying it till he couldn't write about that because he didn't have enough time. So he had to, tweak the topic. So again, make sure, that's why we're doing the proposal where you have to find 3 sources that would meet those standards, so that you're not going to invest a whole lot of time and then get in there and you can't find enough sources that work. So the paper is 4 to 5 pages long, so that helps you understand about how much the length is going to be. And again, you have to have no more than 8, but no fewer than 5 sources. So you're going to actually be doing an annotated bib as the other 100-point assignment, and you have to have at least 5, but no more than 8 sources on that. Okay, so let's go back to look at then what I had you do in terms of just finding the topic. And that was to go to the TED Talk site. And so, this is a rich database, if you will, of the most fascinating information. And I clicked around quite a few things before I decided to look at happiness. And when I looked at happiness, the first thing that came to me was this hidden power of sad songs and rainy days. So let's go to the discussion board, because that's where I give you the example of discussion board 6. So again, you're going to fill out, you're going to do 2. I just did 1 for an example. And here's my example. So here are the 2 videos. So you're going to give me the title and then click and then paste the link in there. Then you're going to come up with some kind of research question that you're interested in. And so neither of these videos are about writing, but they kind of led me to that because, as I say here, right, I went and saw Siddhartha speak last Sunday, and he writes he writes essays in the way that essays should be written, not the way we have to teach them in college. And he has like 16 million books in print. He's a very famous essayist. But he talks a lot about really painful, tragic things that have happened in his past. But he does it in a way that we laugh at it. And especially if you hear him do these, they're incredible. And I was talking to my sister about how I felt kind of conflicted, and she agreed that, there I was laughing my you-know-what off. And then I realized, that's really not very funny. And yet I understood because I had been in a similar situation. And so when I was looking for a topic to do as an example for this and tried to think about what I would write about, this really came up to me, right? I remember when my niece was about 14, we were going somewhere and we were playing one of my playlists, and she says, and we hung out a lot. I helped raise her. And she said, "You like a lot of sad songs, don't you?" And I hadn't really thought about it, but yeah, I do like a real melancholy, sad, torchy kind of song. I'm not a depressed person. I don't know. I just like that. And so I guess maybe that's what did the link here for me. But you can see that when you watch these videos, they talked about, well, we can't expect life to always be positive, right? But how do we handle that, right? So that's what I want to write about. And then my purpose is to prove that writing can help us heal and can help other people. And my audience would be anyone that I think could use writing as therapy for either themselves or to help others, right? And so if I was trying to do actual research for this, I would just copy my research question and I would paste it in there and start looking, right? Now this one, whatsyourgrief.com, probably isn't going to be a scholarly source, but here's Stanford. Stanford psychologists find that jokes help us cope. Well, that's a possible one. Here's psychologicalscience.org, another one. Brain World magazine. I'd have to look at the credentials of that magazine, but it looks promising. Here's this speaker. I don't know who Amy D is. I'd want to do some research on her. She has a bunch of motivational books and handouts, so she might actually be someone. I have to look and again find out who she is. And love that blouse she's got on. What her credentials are. I mean, look, she's got some pretty good clients, Stanford Health. So I'd want to come down here and see, is there anything, okay, meet speaker, author, Amy D. And so I'd want to see, I'm not seeing any kind of credentials. She's a master storyteller and comedian. She has an RN degree and a specific, she's a business owner. I don't know that gives her credentials to talk about the power of humor. She did use a psychiatric RN. Okay, so that might actually work because, again, humor is an aspect of our psychology, right? That actually might be a little bit more promising. But even if her credentials didn't work, I could still look at this page and see, is there anything that she's talking about that might trigger a search term or maybe something I want to actually investigate that I could use in my paper? I can't maybe cite from her, but I could see if there's any scientific or expert information out there that backs up what she says, and I could use that. So again, a lot of times you don't even use most of the stuff that you read for a research paper, right? You pick and choose, and some things can inspire you to find another source that actually does work. Now, these are not giving me much about writing, so I can go up here and I could say, does writing, humor, and, something like that. Oh, here it is, the healing power. Again, I don't know about the writingcooperative.com. Here's a government document, the feeling of a story, narrating to regulate anger. Okay, that sounds maybe promising. The forms and functions of humor in illness, trauma narratives. Okay, don't know if that's where I'm going, but again, I can see that there are stories or research about humor and writing. And so that's going to help me. I mean, I think I could find enough credible, 5 at least, sources to back that up. Okay, and so that's what you're doing with discussion board 6. You are just basically filling out 2 of these, and you can again look at my guide to see kind of the stuff that I want you to do. And then when you get done with that, excuse me, you're going to watch this about writing research questions and then the crap video. And I also want you to look at this rhetorical analysis handout, the second page. The first page is if you're writing a rhetorical analysis of an actual paper, but here I just really want you to look at this last page because we persuade people using these 3 techniques. And I'll have a video that talks about them specifically. But I really want you to consider, what kind of appeals you're making to people and make sure you have a balance of all 3 in your paper. If you're going to have too much of one, it's going to be logos. But again, you want to balance, and you can see how it affects people and how you can insert it, okay? And so that's why I want you to look at that because, again, the rhetorical triangle is a very important aspect of writing persuasively. And then next week, you're going to be doing your discussion board 7. You're going to post your excuse me. You're going to open up this handout. And this one, the first page is about brainstorming topics. So you're going to take one of your topics that either I told you that would work or that you like if I showed both of them are good, and you're going to go back and refine it. And then you're going to write a research question. So you might take the one that you wrote for the discussion board 6, or you might change it a bit. You're going to follow through with these questions and keywords, and then you're going to write your final draft, and you're going to post that final research question right here. That's all you're posting for discussion board 7. But you have to work through all of these to make sure you're getting it to that final draft status. Now, this is a peer review, and I'm doing something different. I had the computer assign you randomly to groups of 9. So you're not going to be able to see everybody else's post. You're just going to be able to see the 9 that you're in the group with, and you're going to post to respond to 3 other people's research questions. And I've got a rubric here. This is how I'm going to grade your research question, and so you're going to use this to form your critique of others, right? Excuse me. And then when we're done with that, we're going to start working on the proposal. This is the first 100-point assignment for this unit. We're not going to fill out the crap things. I'm sorry, I meant to take that off. You're going to, again, just put your MLA heading here. You're going to write incomplete sentences. That's one of the big ways that you can lose points, is not writing complete sentences. I can't evaluate a fragment. You're going to be writing in college level formal writing, right? And every part has to be finished. Each question is worth 10 points, except for this one, which is worth 30 because you're going to have 3 works cited entries. You're just going to list the works cited, the MLA 9. They're worth 10 points each. That's 90 points. And then the final 10 points is just, did you follow all the rules in MLA, right? In terms of, did you put your heading, or all your sentences complete, that kind of thing. You're going to post that by the 23rd. That is the Wednesday of Thanksgiving, so technically the college is closed, but I'm going to give you till the end of the day, Wednesday, if you need it. After that, the only other thing that we'll do is the annotated bib, and that's where you're going to have another video for that, but that's where you will find at least 5 sources, and you will do your works cited entry, and you will then write me an evaluative paragraph about them. Show, how credible, why are these credible sources, okay? You're basically justifying being able to use them in your paper. And then that will be the last formal assignment of the semester, and that will be due, I believe, the 2nd of December, which is the last week before finals. And our final is just doing a post writing. It's nothing serious. You don't have to really study for it. You're just going to rewrite what you wrote at the beginning of the semester. So I hope that helps clarify any questions that you have. As always, just email me, and I'll get back to you with my thoughts. Bye-bye.